Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. Happy Monday, guys. It's a Monday following a week of 2 losses in the Big 12 basketball, but 2 losses that showed that there might be some wins upcoming in the Big 12 for basketball. It's a Monday where there's hope surrounding everything involved with said basketball, but it's also Monday where things are getting better for football. A Monday where football is getting ready to fire up off season, get rocked in, get loaded, get ready, workouts, team bonding, culture building, everything, winning. It is a Monday as well where I get to say hello to some frigid guys, some guys who are ice cold outside, but red hot inside. That's right. It is a Monday where we get to talk everything Bearcats in a special Monday as a returning guest, a man, a legend, one who had himself a great Sunday night as well. We're going to dive into more about that, but it's a Monday where I get to welcome in my guys, pals. 1, 2, 3, 4 total today for at least the first hour. So without further ado, guys, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and of course, the guy, our own, Nico Palizzetti. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good, man. A lot better now for that freaking intro, Brad. Well done, man. Holy hell.
Hold on to your hats, baby. Let's go.
This is unbelievable. You gotta follow me everywhere, man. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Just anytime you walk in the room, Brent's got an intro for you.
I'll stop abruptly, allow you to introduce me, and then just walk in. Just disappoint everyone in the room.
Would you rather have that or like entrance music anytime you walked into a room?
Depends. It depends. I mean, I think for 98% of my life, entry music, Rage Against the Machines would probably be appropriate. But for right now, nothing beats Brett's intro. That was unbelievable.
There we go.
What, like Killing in the Name of Rage or like Bulls on Parade?
That's 1 and 2. That is 1 and 2. That is 1 and 2.
Dinner.
That's 1 and 2. I mean, it has to be.
Dinner.
That's
no
that's the time of the song. That was recorded like in 92, and that is still as good and as hard as of all. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So Killing in the Name was my right before a race in high school, right before every 400 and 100 meters that I did, before we would go to the blocks, I would have Killing in the Name on.
That would probably carry you 400 meters because by the end you're puking your guts out.
Yeah,
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. So those are you familiar with Primus at all?
No.
Les Claypool, one of the great bass players of all time. It's his band.
Wow.
They had a song called Here Come the Bastards that was on right before Killing in the Name. Primus, yeah.
Check it out. I'm learning. I'm getting better.
If you like a good nasty bass guitar, Les is unbelievable.
I do.
So,
thank you.
It actually, Primus would be killer weight room music.
Yeah. I mean,
it would
that whole genre, that whole like new metal ish rock.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Because you can go thrash metal, you can go Metallica and stuff, but still, like, there's nothing that hits as hard as freaking, in my opinion, in a decade plus of being in a weight room, there's nothing that hits harder than Rage.
Maybe the wildest concert combination I've ever seen live. Rage Against the Machine opened for Cypress Hill.
Where was that venue? Where was that at?
I believe it was in Columbus.
Mosh Pit Central, wherever that was. Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, you're talking 2 polar opposite vibes at a concert.
Maybe that's when they decided they wanted to be a rock superstar.
It was around then. It was around then, but it was.
Live
I mean,
large,
it was literally
big house,
like
5 cars.
Like there was almost a riot at Rage. And then Cypress Hill comes on and, opens with like hits from the bong. So it was up here and then down here pretty quick.
That's good though. What year was that? Do you roughly remember?
I think late 90s.
You went real quick from like the indica to the sativa, right?
Right.
Literally.
or vice versa, I guess. But
Get
Oh,
get all
wow.
revved up, then cool you down. I mean, it works.
That's
You know who now this might have been, Nico, the greatest concert of all time. I've never heard of this. I didn't hear of this at the time. Rage toured with Wu-Tang in 1997.
Wow.
just, you know what? That's what gets me freaking jacked up. Like, what more do you
I
want?
would have paid a lot of money for Rage Wu-Tang.
I mean,
both in their
when
prime.
Tom Morello was a Harvard alum and then just decides to be a freaking front guitar band. Like, what are we talking about, dude? That tells you everything you need to know. Anarchy to the finest. Unreal.
I love it. I love it. You still looking it up, Chad? Well, while Chad's looking it up, Aaron, how are we, sir? How's the weekend?
It was good. Made it through. We got all our grocery shopping done before the blistering cold came through, and there wasn't much snow or anything all the way out this way. I don't know what you guys had going on in Cincy, but just a dusting. It was just cold.
Just that,
Yeah,
just
cold.
that short sleeve weather. You know, that's what we got in Cincy and Indy, baby.
Out of your mind.
Short sleeve weather. Nico, what's your stance on that? The whole short sleeves thing and the the chill outside. I mean, you saw it in Kansas City on Saturday night, and then today, those the guys out there, the real gritty guys wearing short sleeves out in that -5, -20 degree weather. I mean,
Just stupid.
As a player, I was in 7th grade and I wore long sleeves and I fumbled the football. And I made a vow as a young 12-year-old to never wear sleeves in a game ever again. And for the next freaking 10 years, I never wore sleeves for a game. So I don't know.
baby.
So that's like a vow. It's a vow made in blood. So I'm a strong, but really, I mean, the fullback way would just be you tape from here all the way to here,
Right.
and then you just put mad Vaseline on the rest, and it just cuts the wind out. You're good, baby. Vaseline, you're like a giant child, like a baby. It's all Vaseline, freaking up, man. That's all you need.
Invisible sleeves. Invisible.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
what
the secret right there.
Did we find it, Chad?
No, I can't find it. They're making me look like year by year, and I just don't really feel like doing that.
Well, hit his DMs to figure out the exact year.
I will.
Either way, phenomenal little ensemble there. But Chad, how was your weekend outside of not being able to figure out the date of said crazy duo?
I've been dealing with a cold, so not great, but
Cold in the
right.
cold, man.
Yeah, a lot of sleep. Like that's I've been very deliberate about, okay, as soon as I start to feel like crap, I just curl up and sleep until my body starts to feel better. So that started on Friday. I slept most of Saturday and Sunday, and then today I'm better than I was over the weekend. Is that you think that's the right plan, Nico? Shut it down. Just shut it down.
I mean, that's one strategy.
Some might say work out through it, get that sweat up.
If it's work for you, I mean, I've also
my body says rest, I rest.
What do I know?
Yeah, my body says rest, I rest.
That's one way to do it, man.
I mean, don't you guys teach like sleep recovery and like how important rest is?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not right now. We're going. We're swinging. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely.
I almost got him there.
Golly. Well, I mean, it is cold outside though. So you know what happens when it gets cold outside? You might have some car issues. Speaking of car issues, if you do have something that goes on, trying to turn the car on, it might have a little pitter patter in it. Maybe you're trying to drive a little bit, you hit a little little bit of ice. You get a little ding, a little nickel, little nanny here and there. You know what you can do? You can head on over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care.
Ooh, look at you.
Ooh. As for Danco Joe, try to get the hat situated. As for Danco Joe, he'll hook it up. It looks like I'm going to sideways. Danco Joe at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. He hooked me up with his hat. You know what? Shouts to Danco Joe. He it was kind of like a little covert option. It was a mission that, during the game this past Tuesday in Cincinnati against Texas, Danco Joe's like, I got a little present for you. And then he's like, I was like, okay. He's like, okay.
Swag bag.
He said, meet me at this location after the game. I said, okay, let's do it. I trust you. I trust you, Joe. He's like, it's right off the highway. You can get in and out real fast. I said, all right. I said, let's do it.
It wasn't even on campus.
I said, hey, man, I trust you. Whatever you say, let's do it. And then he said, hey, I had to drop the bag. And I said, okay. Sent me a picture of where it was dropped and everything worked out. Showed up, picked up the bag, rolled out, put it in my back seat, didn't even look at it. I was like, all right, I got the goods. And it was.
I hope it was at the BP right next to campus. Please have been the BP right next to campus.
The murder BP.
Funny thing is, it was next to a BP, but off of a different exit on 74. So it worked out. Joe hooked it up, just like Joe will hook you guys up. If you got something going on with your car, oil change, or you need anything else done with it, Joe will get you going. Mention Nico, mention Aaron, mention Chad, mention Royer. Why not? Little shouts to our boy, man, Royer. Royer taking he's doing something for the holiday. Shouts Martin Luther King Day. Shouts to that as well. So, but Danco Joe will hook you up, man. Just say, hey, I was sent here. Let's get $10 off an oil change. Let's get 10% off of fixing. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Gotta love them. But Nico, man, how are we, dude? It's been a while. Obviously, haven't had you on the show for a minute. So my first question is, how is Disney World?
Well, unfortunately, I had a lot of time off on time on my hands in December, which was terrible. The only silver lining was more family time, and so we went. My brother-in-law lives out in California, and so we took two girls under the age of 3 across country and went to freaking Disneyland. And you know what? I'm a better man for it. I think I'm more patient. I've learned some life lessons, and I'm a world travel. I guess I'm a intercontinental traveler right now. So it was good. It was a blessed time to just be with family and watch your daughter get to enjoy a Ferris wheel or a freaking merry-go-round carousel. Thank you. That's it. And tumble ride, and it was fun, man. It was really, really good time.
Where'd you stay in LA?
You know what? LA. Oak Hill, Oak Park, Oak something. You know what? I'm not my geography in LA is not great. I've been there a bunch. It's not really my I love visiting Sherman Oaks. My wife yelled Sherman Oaks. There you go.
Okay.
Sherman Oaks.
So that's where he lives, and we stayed at an Airbnb right by him, just because the whole extended family went. So it was really, really fun. It was fun. LA, great place to visit. Living there would be a challenge for me. But definitely enjoy visiting.
In the words of Biggie Smalls, Cali, great place to visit.
Did he say that? Is that a direct quote?
Then going back to Cali, yeah.
Unreal.
Cali, great place to visit. I'm going back to Cali.
I mean, not necessarily in positive connotation of why he was saying that, but
no, that song is about how much he liked LA.
Musically based is unreal right now. Let's keep this going.
I thought that was when he was like angry at someone who was based in.
It was, but you got to listen to the song. He put the beef aside. I like LA. Okay. LA's
fair.
Cali, fair. Great place to visit, but he's from New York, so
I mean, I'm a Midwesterner. It's a great place to visit. It's a great place. Get you cultured. Different type of people. But
I lived in
the Earth guy myself.
I lived in Hermosa Beach when I lived out there.
Really? How long were you out there for?
Like a year and a half. I was like 23. I had a buddy that moved out there and he was like, hey, let's go. And I was like, all right, I'll pack the car. And then I packed out and I just drove out there and transferred jobs and lived in Hermosa Beach for like a year and a half and moved back. And like 2 weeks later, I met Kelly.
Just a question then. How was it living out there? The
I
other
loved
man that's lived out there.
But I was 23 and like had disposable income. I was making good money at my sales job. Just literally went out there and partied for a year and a half. It was great. I don't know if I could live there as an adult, but at 23,
23. It's fun to me at 23. Yeah.
I guess I'll take that back. It's a great place to freaking visit, vacation, and as a young professional, it's a place to live right there, though.
Right. I wouldn't advise living there right out of college, though. I feel like you could easily make a mistake or two.
I had a good job. Like I was making, it was right. We were selling cell phones right at the beginning of like the cell phone boom. And I mean, I had a 20-year-old Jamaican dude. He actually was in the Olympics on the Jamaican ping pong team. He's like a professional ping pong player. Yeah. He's like 6'2", great accent. Like he made like $180,000 a year selling cell phones at that point in time in LA. He bought a Jamaican restaurant for his mom and like opened up a Jamaican restaurant in LA.
Wow.
It was fun. It was good
180 back then too.
It was a lot of money.
Good little
It
life.
was a lot of money.
Well, speaking about good little life and things of sorts, good little life is back in the weight room for Nico Pelizzetti, and so we got to ask right off the bat, back in the weight room, team back on campus, team back getting better, getting everything going for year 2 of the SAT era, year 2 of Big 12 era. What's kind of been just that opening message to the team as they return to campus and into off-season workouts?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brett. We started in December. I mean, to be honest, the week after the Monday after the last game, we met. We had a full team meeting and just said we got to get this taste out of our mouth and we got to go. We got to start training. And so we trained that whole week. And the analogy I use, it was like shaking a tree. It was like who's ever all in's going to stay up, hold on to those freaking branches and not fall down. And there was a core group of guys that really stayed in that tree and wanted to be a part of what we're building. And the best thing about it is there's a strong group of guys, a lot of just Cincinnati natives and a lot of guys that mean a lot to this program. And this program means a lot to them. This city means a lot to them. And they decided to stay and they decided to build this the right way. And so that was really the foundation. It was December, training through that. And then obviously the portal opens and just the day and age of college football, you have to rebuild your roster or build your roster, or however you want to really look at it, and kind of just find the right culture fit. And so that was just a productive month. And so our first team meeting was Sunday, January 7th at 6 p.m. So everyone arrives, and our motto is "The strong shall reign." That's our motto. And really the whole concept is the thing that I'm most excited of, and I addressed it to the team, was there's two things. One is I'm really excited about who's a part of this team. I think everyone here is committed and focused and a little pissed off, to be honest, and has something to prove, and they have a big chip on their shoulder, and they want to be coached and they want to do it the right way, and they believe in what the message we're driving and pushing, and they want to be a part of it. And the second thing I said I'm really excited about is the program that we're going to be doing, the winter program. And I mean, really from camp, I was just doing a needs analysis of where we're at and what we need to improve on and how we can enhance our program and what our weaknesses are. And, by the end of the season, it was like a freaking document. It was like a freaking, thesis. And we have a lot of work to do, but at least we know what our shortcomings are, and that program is made specifically to address those shortcomings. And the whole motto is we're going to draw that line in the sand, and we're going to make it ridiculously challenging. The hardest thing I've ever been a part of. And it has to be that way. And our players want it to be that way. And our coaches are all in, and they're a part of it. And so it's going to be it's called shared suffering. It's going to be incredibly demanding for everyone in the program. And it has to be that way, because when we make it to the other side of that program with the guys that we have, we're going to be stronger because of it. And we're going to reign. We're going to have success. I believe in it with my full soul.
Obviously, when the team finishes with 3 wins and not the outcome that anybody wants to have, you'd think there'd be some kind of changes. Are there any changes that you as a coaching staff have decided to implement going forward this season that you're willing to share with us?
Yeah, I'm open book, babe. Yeah, absolutely. I think really you look at the team, I think there's 3 issues. Just from my just real quick superficial analysis of it was, number one, it was really the elephant in the room was just the level of competition got better. You go up to a conference and just the competition level is more consistently grinding than I think our team had been used to. So that was one massive really kind of characteristic that made our season really challenging. The second was, I think, player-wise, I think most of our players had been a part of success, only knew success, maybe took it for granted, and thought that success was an entitlement, was just assumed because that's all they knew. And I think that became an issue when we didn't have success. We didn't know how to handle it, and we didn't respond to adversity as well as we should have. And I think the last was a change of leadership style. I think Coach Sat has a different leadership model than what our guys have been used to or accustomed to in the past. And I think that takes time for adjustment. But also, I think we have to have the emotional intelligence as a coaching staff to understand what our players are used to, where they're at. And we really got to make a conscious effort to teach them and meet them where they're at. It has to be shared suffering. It has to be freaking really one of our goals is leadership through ownership. So if you can be upset that our leadership wasn't as good as it was, or you can take ownership of it and say, we need as a coaching staff to meet our guys where they're at. We need to understand what our leadership model is, demonstrate it on a daily basis. And my whole mantra to our coaching staff is, if a pig farmer better smell like crap. So you better get your hands in there. You better know your players as well as anybody. You got to get in there day in and day out, and you have to share suffering. And that's the only way. It's the only way, especially in today's day in college football. Like, it's so transactional. Guys are in and out. It's a really, really hard thing. So if guys don't understand that you care about them as human beings, and you're willing to suffer with them, and you're willing to show on a daily basis of how much they as individuals mean to you, and they as football players, their success means to you, then you're not going to be a very successful coach. And I think Coach Sat's an incredible job of really just believing that and really driving that message to the entire staff. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about where we're at as a program and what we're going to go through this winter.
So kind of going along with that as well. I mean, Nico, you won a championship, went undefeated your senior year of high school. You what 11-2 your first year on campus, Michigan State, Big Ten championship. You went, you lost your first year playing as a redshirt freshman, then you had success again. It just continuously had success there. And then, of course, all throughout your coaching career, you've had success, and notably, obviously, at Ohio State, just a roaring success in back-to-back years. So it's not like, winning is something that's inside of you. So where do you draw the line of changing too much? Because you feel like there's got to be a little fine line there where you realize, hey, listen, in the past, I've done these things and it has led to winning. So where do you kind of see, okay, I need to take a step back and try and change too much, because the way that I've done things has led to winning throughout my entire football life?
That's a fantastic question / thought. I mean, winning definitely yields growth, but to be honest, this is the first time in my career I've ever lost. And there's a multitude of things. And I think the insecure thing or the immature thing or the ignorant thing would be you're right, to throw everything out and start anew. But really, like, at the end of the day, your core values are your core values, and who you are as an individual is really the extension of what your program is. And so, yes, we didn't have success. We didn't have success for a multitude of reasons, but you can't get blinded by, you can't allow your insecurities of losing interfere with the person you are and how you conduct your business. And like, for me, my whole theme was duty. Like, as challenging as this year was, I still had a duty to do. I still had an obligation to every single player on that team. And that was to maintain the standard. Whatever that standard was, I was going to maintain it. So if I said at the beginning of the year that this is what we're going to do, despite losing, it didn't change. Like, we trained hard. We trained hard throughout the entire year. If you ask anybody, any of those players, we trained and we minimized injuries, and we were able to, according to all of our metrics, from a force play to all these different things that we can test in season, which is a stupid way of indicating, but we were performing at a relatively high level from training wise. And, things didn't go right on the field, and, you can point the finger and you can take ownership of it. And so for me, it wasn't the result we wanted, but to allow the results to really fog you and prevent you from realizing who you are as a person and what you believe in as a coach is really short-lived and somewhat naive and stupid, to be honest. And so I think you just got to be able to kind of filter that out and stay true to who you are and what you believe in, and just constantly enhance that. And it's a great challenge, man. Like, by far the most challenging year of my career, but also yielded probably the most growth. And I'm definitely a better person because of it. I'm a better man because of it. And I hope that yields results. I really do.
As you talk about that growth, going back to, I think it was the last time you were on with us. That was August 22nd, episode 149. And right around the 1 hour and 6 minute mark, I asked you, what have you learned about yourself owning your own room and being responsible for this group of men? And I told you the next time you were on, I was going to ask you again. So now that you are past that 1 year mark, you've been here, you've had your hand in the dirt, if you will. You'd said back then you realized that you were very well trained, you were instinctual. From camp, you had to figure out that you were going to allow problems to work themselves out to the point where you needed to address them instead of being like trying to swing at them immediately. And you said you needed to be steady in the boat and regulate your highs and lows. What's changed since then, Nico?
Aaron had receipts.
No.
Timestamp.
That's fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up, Aaron. Because that just shows I'm a thorough note taker. Like, I have my notes right here. Like, I take notes like crazy. Like, I'm a note taker. I'm a highlighter guy. I'm all that. And so for me, I've reflected on that past year for hours. I've looked back. I've looked at my notes. I've looked at my journal entries of where I was at and what I've learned. And that's a really, really good question. I think it's funny. Like, there's things that are my job that were challenging. Like, training people is challenging, right? But it didn't challenge me to the point where it made me question a lot of things, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. I felt very confident in that role. So a lot of things in my job I felt thoroughly confident in. The hard part is the things that aren't really your job. And as a strength coach, the hard part is you give control over, right? Like, in the summer and the winter, those are your babies. Those are your children. Those are your guys. You have so much autonomy and control over them because it's your program. And then you hand that control over, and then you allow and you see when playing time gets introduced, and you see a lot of these things kind of play out, and things you don't really have as much control over. And that was really hard. And that one quote you brought up, steady in the boat, that was one of the biggest things I learned is really, from a strength coach, one of the hardest challenges is you have to be the model of consistency. You have to be, because football coaches are football coaches. They're in it. It's hard. Things are going good. Things are going bad. They have to manage scheme and players and all these different things. And you are with these guys in such a close proximity that you have such a close relationship with them. And so when you go through a season, really for me, win or loss, I didn't want to change a thing. We're going to train. We're going to get after it. We're going to be the exact same team. We are working towards development. And that was easy said. It was hard to do, but I look back and I was very confident in how consistent we were, the standard that we kept in our training, the standard that we kept in our preparation, the standard that we kept in our game readiness, the standard that we kept in our response to hardship and adversity. So in that regard, I'm very proud of the fact that while control was lost, consistency was maintained from our end. And I was proud of that. I think moving forward, some of the biggest things I've learned is kind of that word of duty, man. Despite losing, despite hardship, despite moments of insecurity and fear and anger and frustration, which obviously when you pour so much into it and you watch these guys pour so much into it and you watch a fan base that's so passionate and so loyal and deserves so much, not get the results that they want. It's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly disheartening. It makes you not want to get out of bed in the morning, but then you have a duty to do it. And if it's not you, then who's it going to be? And that was one of the biggest things I learned, that if not me, then who? If not us, if not our staff, then who? And if not the football staff as a whole, then nobody. And so we have to be that model of consistency. And that's one thing I learned and learned a lot of. And it's so challenging because you pour your whole soul, your heart and soul into it. And you want to have that success and you want to give that success to the people that really care about it. And when you don't, it's hard to keep swinging, but that's the best part of it is how resilient are you? How strong are you as a character? Like, if I fold, like Brent said, if I folded as a human being and I folded in what I believed in, then I wouldn't be a very good coach. I wouldn't really be a good individual. And I definitely wouldn't be a good role model to these guys.
So as far as training goes, it just overall, just on field that you saw, you've been involved in the Big Ten for pretty much your whole life. Whether it be being recruited by, played, coached in. Now, first year in the Big 12, getting the experience of seeing what that is. What do you think is the main similarities, the main differences, and how does that kind of change your approach in the weight room and in off-season workouts now in your first ball in the Big 12?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I was ignorant about the Big 12. I hadn't played many Big 12 schools in my career. One thing that really surprised me, I thought it was a speed-oriented league. I thought it was, you had those stereotypes, right? Like speed-oriented, offensive-driven, all that stuff. I was thoroughly impressed with just the size, the length of the offensive and defensive line. I was surprised and impressed with the length and size of the secondary. Long, tall guys can move really, really well. The competitiveness of the Big 12 is much higher than I thought, and maybe that was ignorance, maybe that was ego. I'm not exactly sure, but it was a really competitive league, and I think a lot of our team didn't really realize how competitive it was. And then you see in Oklahoma and you expect Oklahoma to be big and long, which they were. But then you also see Iowa State. You're like, holy cow, these are good-looking guys, man. These are big, good-looking guys that play really, really hard. You see Kansas, holy cow. So West Virginia was freaking tough. So like you see a lot of these teams that are really good and really sound, and it definitely makes you appreciate the league you're in, and really and not that you take it for granted or not that you didn't train hard, but I think it makes you really appreciate physical measurables. I mean, it makes you realize what a standard player in this league looks like and where you're at. And recruiting and training and constant development is obviously just a big part of it. It takes continual development. It takes time in the weight room. It takes time to train. It takes large frames, big, long, large frames that you need to work and develop. And that was one of my impressions. Definitely was I was thoroughly impressed with the competitiveness of the league, and I'm really glad we're in it. And I'm glad we're at, and we have the players we have coming back.
During the offseason, we got a glimpse of what this team going forward's leadership is going to be, as you had the presser where it was like Dante Corleone and Luke Kandra and old Mason Fletcher and just some of the guys that were returning. Has anybody thus far through these workouts emerged as a potential leader for next year and joining the leaders that have already kind of established themselves?
Yeah. So how we modeled this offseason was we called it a kind of, we're basically drafted teams. And so what we did was we had 3 meetings. So the first meeting was we really set what the culture goals are, what our goals are as a program, what our objectives are as a program, where our needs are, and then we set kind of the whole foundation of what our program is going to be. And so the coaching staff picked 6 crew captains. Dante Corleone, Corey Kiner, Mason Fletcher, Evan Prater, Gavin Gerhardt, and Luke Hendra. So those are the 6. And then they picked a co-captain on the other side of the ball. And so we have 12 names, 12 co-captains, 12 captains as a whole. And so the second meeting, which was on Wednesday, we drafted players. And so we went down the line. We had a draft. It was fun. It was rowdy. It was really competitive. We posted the results of that draft. And the twist was that we also drafted coaches onto those crews. And so each of the 6 crews that we have a list of just a group of guys, multiple different position groups, all over the place to make guys really, really, both freshmen got drafted, transfers got drafted, injured, modified guys got drafted, coaches got drafted. So it was a hodgepodge of guys that are going to have to come together. And the following day, we presented the entire program as a whole. We presented the crews, we presented the format, the point system, the accountability structuring. And so leadership is absolutely essential. It's one of our goals. As I said, leadership through ownership, and we're all in it together. We're all with shared suffering. So, we're going to have weekly winners. So once the first week of February starts, we're going to have a 5-week weekly winner protocol. And, it pays to win, right? So if you win the week, the weeks go Friday to Thursday. You win the week, awesome. We're going to try to give you every single status thing that we can give you. We're going to give you gear. We're going to give you social media. We're going to do, we're going to try to praise and glorify winning. On the back end, as we all found out this last year, losing is awful. There's no way around it. It's terrible. And we have to use that as a motivator. So the losing crews also have, we call it competitive encouragement. And so that'll happen Friday morning. And so that's just another motivator as well. And so it's going to be a weekly winner. And then we're going to see how these crew captains can navigate that. Can you continue to win if you're a winner? Can you not lose if you're a loser? How can you navigate points? How can you motivate your peers? The coaches, how hard you coach knowing that you need to win and you especially don't need to lose. How invested are you in those crews? How invested is the accountability system? How do you communicate? And so it's a huge, it's what we really need as a group. It's what we need to come together. It's what we need for everyone to be on the same page. And it's been very exciting to see, these guys step up, guys like Corey Kiner, Dante, Evan, all the O-linemen are incredible leaders. They're the best unit we had by far. And it's exciting to break them up and make them take their leadership to all the team.
Sure.
You have these new guys. We have a lot of players that are new, that are excited, that are hungry. So it's a competitive group. It's a leader-oriented group. It's very all in. Already, you can tell there's a different level of maturity, of focus. There's less silliness. There's less entitlement. It's the guys that are really serious about this team are here, and they care about this team. They care about this freaking school. They care about this city. And I'm just really, really excited to coach them. So we trained last week. We trained like it was discretionary. It wasn't mandatory. Every single player came in, and that's a testament to our leadership, and that's a testament to our guys and how much they care. And I'm excited to start this first week. It starts in about 8 hours. So, we're going, man. So we're rocking. So I'm excited.
what is it like, one, and what are the challenges when the new wave hits? Because you have half of your freshman class enrolled early, and now you've got X number. I don't want to give anything away. You've got X number of transfers that are now on campus and into the program. What is that like initially, and what are the challenges of, okay, now we've got 20 something new guys that are getting started this week?
Yeah, that was a massive. That's a great point, Chad. That was one of our leading from the first PowerPoint slide of that presentation was this. It was like, we have to acknowledge the fact that in today's day and age of college football, we have to believe, like not like just a thought, like not just a like, okay, we're going to do this winter offseason program, and like one of our goals is belief in our culture. Like, if we believe that doing this winter offseason program, getting to the other side of it, no matter how hard it is, like, we don't have an indoor, we're running in the snow. Like, we're going to run when it's 24 degrees. We've already ran twice. Like, it's snowing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's who our program is right now. Like, it's gritty guys that really, really care and are working so hard to bring back this school to where it should be. And like, that's who our guys are. That's who our motivators are. And I'm like, I don't want to say it was good that we lost, because I would never say that, because losing is the worst thing ever. But my gosh, is it create clarity? Like, it shows people for who they are, like, immediately. And you got to see some really, really high character guys step up and say, I'm not transferring. The school really is important to me. And like, I talked to Coach Satt early on. I said, we need to be incredibly cognizant of who are our cultural pieces of this team and who do we need to stay, who we're going to build this team around. And he was incredibly keen and observational, and he understood exactly the piece that we needed. Every single piece that we needed is a Bearcat right now. Like, the pieces of who guys follow and the guys that, I just got goosebumps, the guys that really, really care about this team are all here. Like, every single one that we needed stayed, everyone. And they drove it. They pushed that threshold. They made that model. And that's why, like, I mean, you can only see it on social media, but like, that's why it matters to them. Like, Dante Corleone and Mason Fletcher were at every single freaking NIL transfer potential dinner. They were the ones that were filtering these guys out. Like, they're not a good fit, or they're a good fit. That's who we want. Like Chad, like, day one workouts with all these new guys, it wasn't day one because the leaders of the team knew who they were from the recruiting side of things. Like, this is a team that really, really cares and that's been through adversity and that are standing on the other side saying, let's do it. Let's make it hard. Let's make it hard. Let's do it. Like, I don't know if we had that maturity last year, and I think that bit us in the butt, but I know we have that adversity revealed where we're at and what we need to go through. And so, to answer your question in a very long roundabout way, it's a massive challenge. But like I said in the first part, I'm sorry, I shot over here. Now I'm back.
Ooh, squirrel.
Yeah. I'm ripping it right now. Sorry, I'm caffeinated. I'm fired up.
Do it.
I think the biggest thing is, I said, if we go through this program and we believe, and like, not like just saying it, but if we believe in our hearts that this program is the adversity and the crucible we need to get to the other side of it to build a team, because mistakes are going to happen. Adversity, if no adversity happens, then I fail to do my job. I didn't push this team hard enough. So for me, I seek adversity and hardship and conflict like a heat-seeking missile. Like, that's what I want. If I'm not causing conflict, then I'm not pushing hard enough. So for me, like, ironically, squirrel, like, conflict, like, okay, I'm doing a good job. Like, it's enough. So we have to believe that if and when we get to this other side of this metaphorical adversity, when we do, we're going to be a stronger, tougher team, because we have to believe that this is what we need to go through in order to become a team. And transfers and new guys alike, they're all in. And the cool thing is, it's not an insecurity thing. I think it's easy. The default is, you see someone that's not your own, you become self-conscious, you see them as a threat, and you push them to the outside. And I don't know if we ever got to the point last year where it's our team, we're all in it together. And this year, you see guys saying, like, I'm glad he's here. It's going to push me. I know he's going to bring value to this team, and he's going to make me a better player. And I have to work harder to get it. One of our freaking, I keep talking about what our goals are. One of our goals, number 4, is earn it. Earn it. Earn it. That's one of our goals. Earn it. Earn the privilege wearing the C-Paul. Earn it. If you want to be a starter, if you want to build trust, if you want to do all these things, it has to be earned. There's zero entitlement. You don't walk out. You don't like, it's earned. It has to be earned. And that's where I think our team is. I think it's so easy in today's day and age where you assume because you get a paid or whatever it is, you come in and something's owed to you. And this team is, I welcome competition. I want competition, and I'm going to freaking work for it. And that's where we're at, and that's what we're working for every day. But I think unless you have that as your character of your team, it's really, really hard to coach it. It's really hard to coach it. You know, you can try to freaking take a round hole and a round pin and shove it into a square hole. You can do those things, but it's unless you have the heart of the guys that want to be coached, that want to buy in and want to believe in that, it's really, really hard to actually get that change and get that adaptation. So to have our guys have that heart already is great. Now it's when we test them and when we challenge them and when they do hit adversity, how do they respond? Where are our guys going to be at? And that's my job. That's our job to drive that conflict, drive that confrontation, drive that adversity so that our guys, when they do mess up, learn from it, have character, and hopefully bond as a team that's combining old players, new players into one unit.
Gosh, I love it. That was awesome. Fantastic. Nico,
Are you okay, Brent?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm locked in over here.
You're not having blood flow issues?
Oh, easy. Relax.
I am right now. I'm all on right now, man.
Hey, man. Hey, lock it in, bro. I pound caffeine before I hop on these too. So that's it's a method to the madness over here. But yeah, so probably an unfair question at this point in time, but you know, the fan base definitely wants to hear a little bit about just first impressions of the newcomers. The most obvious player to ask about, and not singling anyone out or anything of that sort, but you know, Brendan Sorsby, just first impressions of what he was like coming in, how he's working out in the weight room, this, that, and the other. Then just some other names, just out of the portal itself, transfers that have come in that have kind of caught the eye, you know, first impression base.
Yeah, well, Sorsby is ridiculously impressive. He's a tough guy. He's tough. You know, he played with a banged up shoulder last year and just embraced it, leaned into it. Tough guy, big frame, loves to train, wants to do extra. I mean, he's been thrown on his own out in the snow with our wideouts, and our quarterback unit as a whole has really embraced where our team's at. And you know, him and Lichtenberg are going to duel it out. And I'm really excited about those two guys because they're both, like I talked about earlier, they're both going to bring out the best from one another. And neither of them are scared or intimidated of competition, which is so rare in today's day and age of college football. Everyone's entitled to a starting position. Everyone's entitled to money. And for guys that want to duke it out, that want to freaking compete, is awesome. So Sorsby's been incredible to train, is all in. He's been texting, calling, giving me updates about what his thoughts on the workouts, how hard they were, how he loves it. And so he is a guy that loves to train, that loves the grit of it, that loves the toughness. He's a perfect embodiment of this city and this school. So he's fantastic. You know, I got to know those 3 Ohio State transfers just through my last employment. And they're 3 incredibly great guys, man. Kai Stokes, Joe Royer, Evan Pryor, just 2 or 3 great human beings that are really talented and then address needs that we have on this team. And so I'm thrilled to watch them play. I'm thrilled to watch them contribute, and they're high character guys. So I was really hopeful that those guys would come, and I was really, really swinging for those guys, and really just, I mean, I know the value they could provide, and the fact that they're here is all UC fans should be freaking so thrilled for that. Then you got high-end guys, man. I mean, the best thing about it was, you know, you talk to these guys and they're mature. They want what they want, and they're here because they want to provide a value to the school, and they want to help the school, and they want to contribute with playing time and leadership, and they're all in. And so just, I'm really excited. And I don't want to give too many names right now just because it's so early, but I mean, shoot, I'm just so thoroughly impressed. I was impressed with meeting them on their freaking on their visits. I was impressed with the way their families communicated. I was impressed with their commitment level. And then now watching them train, and they're still trickling in. They should all be in by the end of next week or end of this week, excuse me. But it's so exciting to watch these guys come in and just take coaching. And one of the lines in our presentation was, if you can't be coached, you cannot improve, and you provide no value to this team. Like, that's it. So we're looking for guys that want to be coached. And I asked them, I'm like, I've met with every single player. And by the end of this week, I'll have met with every player. And the only question I ask, what do you want? Like, what do you want? I show them what they wrote. If they were here, I show them what they wrote for last summer. Like, these were your summer goals. What do you want? Like, if you say you want this, then that means that I have to coach you to a level that matches this expectation. So you told me you want to be all conference. Do you understand the commitment of that? You told me we want to freaking win the Big 12 as a team. Do we understand how good and how tight of a team we have to be? Do you understand what we have to go through in order to get to that point? If the answer is yes, then I'm going to hold you to that standard. And just so you know, that's going to be very uncomfortable. And I'm really excited about the seriousness of this team. There's no slappiness. There's no goofiness. Because it's so easy, right? Everyone wants to become a dude. Everyone wants to reach a status. Like, everyone wants to be respected or a leader, however you want to word it. And the misconception is, once you reach that level of dudeness, then you can do whatever you want. You made it. You're a made man. So if a coach tells you to run off the field, you can kind of jog or you can kind of walk. It doesn't matter. If a coach tells you to do this, I got it. I can do this scheme on my own because I'm a dude. I'm untouchable. The reality are, the best teams, on the very best teams, the most talented players are the hardest workers and the best leaders, which means that they have to do everything perfect. That's the standard. So if you're going to say that I want to be one of the best leaders, I want to be the most talented player, that I think that I deserve to be a leader or a captain or a starter on this team, then you are assuming the responsibility of doing everything perfect. That's what the expectation is. And that's a massive responsibility. And then that holds you to a standard of training that demands hard coaching. It has to. So the misconception is, once I reach a level, I'm good, I'm set. No, once you reach a level, you're coached harder than you've ever been coaching your entire career, because that's what we expect from you. And if we believe that coaching you to that standard and holding you up to that standard, that's going to trickle down to everybody else. And that's what we didn't have last year, that we're working really hard to get to this year.
We have to let you go. We have to let you go in a second because you got to get some sleep. You got an early morning tomorrow. But one more before I let you go. Brent's always got one more.
I actually have two from Royer. So,
okay. Well, one more quick one for me. What are the challenges when you replace a new coordinator midstream? Brian Brown headed back home to Ole Miss, where he graduated. You can never fault a guy for making that move. Everybody wants UC guys to come back and coach at UC. Right. You can't be mad when a guy that graduated from Ole Miss goes back to Ole Miss. But what are the challenges for you when such an important position and such an important cog in the program changes?
That's a great question, Chad. For me, when I heard the news, the first thing I thought was just how deep Coach Brown's relationships are with a lot of these guys, namely on the defense. And so for me, my job, I felt like, was reaching out to all those players that I knew he was really close with. Coach Brown he's a paternal figure to a lot of these players. And, that's a void. Besides being a great, coach, he's a mentor to these guys, a father figure to a lot of these guys. And so, not that I would assume that role, but just knowing that I understand that relationship, I understand how much he means to them, and I'm here for them and to help them through this process of, losing that. But also, when we bring in the coach, it's going to be the right coach, and he's going to drive and make this defense as good as it could be. And so just providing that shoulder, that support system, but also that encouragement, saying, we have to acknowledge that, a vocal presence on this team is no longer here, a guy that everyone respected, but we have to look forward to the future, and we have to use this to just get tighter than ever from a player standpoint, and then trust that who's coming in is going to be the best fit for us.
I think too many people take like we're going to just ignore it route. You know what I mean? Like, everything's fine, nothing to see here. I think it's much better to handle it head on.
Yeah, I told the guys in our team meeting, I said, I don't know if it's an emotional stuntness or whatever it is. If I need to see a psychiatrist about it, but I don't do well at looking the other way. Like I don't heal that way. And I said the only way out of it is through it. So like from everything from last year, like you can't hide from it. You have to look at it head on, bow up your neck and run through it. And that's kind of been my approach my entire life. And I couldn't agree more. Whenever there's an elephant in the room, I'm always that obnoxious guy that just addresses it because that has to be addressed. And the only way freaking out of this shittiness or this uncomfortableness or this uneasiness is through it. And so that's the approach I'm definitely taking.
I tell my girlfriend that. Good point. Aaron, you got anything?
That's so good.
Anything left for Nico before I dive into Royer?
No, man, go ahead.
All right, from Ryan Royer himself, Mr. Bearcat, circa 2021. If you didn't know, the legend couldn't be here tonight, but he did have a couple questions. First, if there's anything that you've learned about the team from the first offseason through the season that you think you can directly input to your offseason program that will have the largest impact on the team's development?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well done, Ryan. That's why Ryan's face is everywhere, all over campus. FYI, to all the listeners out there, the guy is very influential, and clearly that question shows why. I mean, not to go down a tangent that we already talked about as far as what you learn and how you address needs analysis and how you shape a program off that. I definitely think really our I mean, I've been referencing it throughout the entire presentation, but I mean, our goals are number one, really just Bearcats first is our first goal. So Bearcats first, team first, but making sure that perception is constantly focused on. And I think selfishness beat us last year, and using a team first mentality in everything that we do has to be essential. Number two is pride in our culture. We have to take pride in what our culture is. It has to be more than just wallpaper and signage. It has to come live to us. And we have a lot of strategies for that. Number three is leadership through ownership, which I talked about. Number four is earn it. Number five is coachability and discipline. And so those are our 5 goals. And we learn those 5 goals literally by analyzing everything and looking at everything and having a lot of sleepless nights and really trying to just drive deep and understand where our team's at and how can we structure our offseason to address those needs.
The next, any new finishers that you've brainstormed for Winter Friday workouts?
I have, like I told you, I'm a thorough note taker. If you, yes, to answer his question, yes, I'm not going to give them away, but yeah, there's starters, there's finishers, there's appetizers, there's competition up the wazoo. Everything's themed on being as miserable and challenging and competitive as possible. And then the strong shall reign, man. Those that love it, those that embrace it, which I think this team really does. We'll find out. Stay tuned. We'll find out. But it's exciting, man. Yeah, absolutely.
My last one.
What we need at some point next, though, is like, if there is a couple guys not carrying their weight, next time you come on, you'll be like, look, man, this guy needs to get his shit together.
Just blast them. Just blast them all over the freaking floor.
You said you wanted to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Public ridicule.
We'll do a weekly 5-minute segment. Who needs to get it together? And you just pop on for 5 minutes every Monday, and you'd be like, look, this week, this guy's not carrying his weight. He needs to get
Nico's knocks.
Yeah. Let me just go on a tirade for 5 minutes. Just make everyone uncomfortable. Everyone's looking around going, oh my gosh, dude.
I think it'd be perfect. Michigan native. Go ahead.
All of a sudden, we magically have 105 new listeners every Monday night at 8:35.
Everyone's waiting for Tuesday morning to just hide in shame. The Twitters are blown up.
Zach never lets another coach come on with us again.
Oh,
a
gosh,
little bit, though.
I'm out of a job.
Michigan native, Nico. How awesome is it for the Lions? First off, second off, looks like maybe Tampa Bay at home, another home game potentially.
I'm sorry. Malik Van just texted me, so I thought Malik Van was going to support the whole city. I thought Malik Van was like, "Yeah, lay him out." Sorry. I apologize.
There's a
One more
decent chance
question.
he's in here watching. There's a
I
decent
hope so.
chance.
He's training out in Charlotte right now, so hopefully he's asleep. But you never know that guy. He's the best. I love Malik.
Lions. Talk about the Lions.
Talk about the Lions. I'm sorry, Brent.
We're ending on a happy high note. That's it.
Talk about the Lions and what it means.
No, how excited you are. Maybe a potential second home game next week with the way that the current game's going on right now. I mean, that's excitement for you.
It is, and I don't want to date myself nor the Lions, but I have not been alive since the Lions won a playoff game, which is ridiculous. My dad was born the last time they won a championship, 1957. So it is for them to win and you see tears, like those are legit tears of people that are incredibly proud of their team. And so I grew up and I knew a phrase called GDL, the God Lions. And that was how I watched Sundays, which was the GDLs, man, the GDLs. And that's all I knew as a kid growing up. And the fact that they won a playoff game and they're gonna be a home team again. I'm really happy for that organization. I'm happy for all my friends who have season tickets and they're expensive right now, man. They're going for like $2,000 a piece. So I mean, good for them, good for that city.
Yeah. Let's hope there's no Lions on Nico's Knocks next Monday night.
Yeah, I hope not.
Here we go. Nothing else, guys. We saying goodbye.
Yep, but he told us to get him out by 9. It's 9:09. So
you guys are too good to me, man. Hey guys, I just thank you guys. Just want to thank you guys. I know obviously last year wasn't what we all wanted, but the fact that you guys have supported me throughout this past year and the fact that this fan base has been as supportive as they are on social media and just to my face and just a testament to who you guys are as a fan base and to who you guys are as members of the media of that fan base. I can't thank you enough. And I'm incredibly grateful that you guys had me on.
When are you coming back?
Whenever I get the text from Big Chad, man, I'll tell you what.
Brady was on every 2 weeks. So we'll see you on the 29th.
I'll be here, man. I appreciate you guys a lot.
Thanks, brother.
You guys are the best. Thank you, guys.
All right, Nico.
Coach.
Thanks, brother. Boom.
All right, great show.
Nico Palazzari. Gosh.
Great show. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Well, that was BBP here on BearcatJournal.com. See ya.
We'll timestamp that, boy. The Quick Paper Supply timestamp, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, not Nico, call Nick at 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. We'll see how I'm going to do my voice is I did 3 hours of radio today. I'm fading. I can feel it. Does it sound like I'm fading? It feels like I'm fading.
Not bad. We gave you most of that hour off.
Yeah, that was by design. Well, one, I know all Brent won it in an hour with Nico, and so you did a nice job filling in the gap, Aaron. Right, but we just let Brent cook.
Hey, Aaron
I tried to save
too.
myself. I know you guys both did great. That's what I said. Aaron filled in, and got some good stuff in, and you guys did great. I didn't. You know me. If I felt like I needed to be around more, I would have been around more. But you guys,
we even get to the incoming freshmen.
I know.
Let's give them.
I figured on the next show. Yeah. That's why I said probably unfair to ask this early because I mean, you're literally getting first impressions.
I can't wait to hear the list of co-captains and what coaches are. I wonder how much information he's going to give us on these teams, or if they're gonna keep that all in house.
I'm all in for it.
I guess we'll find out when winners are starting to be announced on social media, but I won't know before that.
Yeah, the Nico Knox. We'll have to. Maybe we'll hear from those. maybe like a day that like one team beats the other, or like one team drops one of their players or something. We'll call it like Nico's knockouts, and then he'll come on and tell us about it on the Monday or something, and go from there. But no, I'm excited to have him back on because, as you said, Chad, there's 40 plus new faces that are going to be coming into the program and gonna get
Yeah,
money
I
here.
mean, yeah.
Roughly, yeah.
But only half of them are only half of the high school kids are here now.
High school's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I was more talking about like it was 11 or 12, something like that, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. I
That
got the
enrolled
list pulled
early.
up. I was, it's funny. We had Brady on. We had Brady on so often back in the day where like each show we could kind of like pinpoint. All right, let's ask him about these 5 guys. Let's ask him about these 5 guys on the next show. With Nico, we did everything right there, and then hopefully we'll have Nico back on and kind of get a little bit more of an update on the personnel and different things of that sort. But I guess let's stick and wrap up football. Obviously, it's defensive coordinator talk right now is what is surrounding the side of the Bearcats, and I don't think, Chad, there's been a nightcap or anything of that sort that kind of touched on this. Obviously Brian Brown, you mentioned going back to his alma mater at Ole Miss. It probably seems like a situation where if this opened up, if an opportunity presented itself, then there's a good chance that Brown would head that way. I'm sure that's probably something that Coach Satterfield understood going into his relationship with Brown that has lasted for a long, long time. And then the opportunity presented itself, and now the search for the next defensive coordinator opens up.
It
Thoughts on everything?
It actually sounded like the DC at Ole Miss tried to make this happen last year also.
Oh, really? Wow.
And he turned that down to come with Satterfield and be the defensive coordinator. And I guess they just went to the level of, look, here, you can't say no to this. Come back home. Right. So more power to him. But it's going to be interesting. Like coaches initially, when they build their first staff, it is almost always very much in their comfort zone.
Right.
And then once they find that comfort zone, you'll see them be at least a little more open to somebody else or opening up the lens to look a little wider on a staff search. But one thing I will say, like, if you pay attention to these Appalachian State guys, that is as tight-knit a web as you will find.
Yeah.
So,
because there's nothing else to do out there than get to know the people who are around. It's impossible to have cell phone service out there. I don't know if they even have Wi-Fi, Ethernet run all the way out there. Like, you're doing everything with CAN and string. Of course, they get to know everybody out there.
Right. So those guys have all been incredibly tight. I don't think that necessarily means that it's 100% going to be someone from that tree, if you will, but like it makes sense because it's what they're comfortable with, it's what they know, and they've all stuck together throughout. Whatever they've got a pretty big coaching tree, really bigger than you would think. Like Aaron said, what else is there? You play football and then you get into coaching at Appalachian State, and then
hike in the mountains. Camp.
I mean, that probably explains why it's taking a little. There's not like an exact answer right away because they're talking through a CAN and it has to go all the way through the string, get out there to let them know that we're interested. But
carrier pigeon, Brent. No, it's carrier pigeon.
Right.
They put the little note on the pigeon's back, and they're like, and then next thing you know, the pigeon's in Texas.
Do they use like a bald eagle? I don't think there's pigeons out there in Appalachia or what exactly there is. But do you have any sense of a timeline for this? Obviously, it's hard to get news at this juncture. But
it's usually pretty expected that at this point in time of the year, once that first cycle closes, then changes start happening. I mean, I'm sure they would like to get it wrapped up as quick as possible, but you're not in, the portal's closed, high school recruiting's closed. The only thing else you have right now is that second high school window.
Oh, high school window.
No, high school window.
What is the second portal window?
That's in the spring. So like right after spring practice.
Okay.
So the only other thing really coming up is the second. And I mean, I know of one guy that really they would like to add like in that window. So I don't think that's like a major. I'm just saying that's the only other thing right now before you get to spring practice and then the second transfer window. So you're not like in a race to make a decision. So you can do your due diligence and bring guys to campus for interviews and, kind of handle things that way first.
Yeah.
Just in case you guys were wondering, because I'm sure you were, I just fell down this rabbit hole. The French military still uses carrier pigeons, as does one region of India, as an important form of backup communication in case of natural disaster. You're welcome.
Wow.
How do they know? How do the pigeons know where to go?
I don't know.
That's what I want to know.
I didn't go that deep down the rabbit hole, but I did want you to know that they are still a thing. And
They watch Game of Thrones and they watch Harry Potter. They say, "Hey, we got to learn this," and it's studying tape. That's what it's about.
Yeah, but think about it. They literally just write a note, tie it to the back of a pigeon, and the pigeon is like, "I got you, dog."
Hey, man.
And the guy's like 6647 Middlebrook Lane, da 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 da. The pigeon's like, off it goes.
Well, they don't have opposable thumbs.
Oh,
I don't know how
they watch John Wick probably, and they're like, "All right, this is how I got to learn the pigeons." But oh, very nice, Jason Cooper. The Mike Tyson reference when the pigeons come up, like the now Kith, like the that meme. That's a great meme. But kind of wrap this up real quick because I want to touch on basketball and then we'll dive into the mailbag. But I guess when it comes to the transfer portal, it's only head coaches leaving where there's that 30-day window, right? It doesn't trickle down to coordinators.
Yeah. No,
so
God, no. No, that would be
crazy,
fucking chaos,
right?
Absolute chaos if they allowed. Like my position coach left so I can enter the portal for 30 days. Nah, fam. No.
Sorry. Cannot do that. But yeah, I guess obviously that'll be something that there's time to come up with. And then I think spring practice doesn't start until end of February, early March. So I mean there's a lot of time between now and then for things to be calculated and figured out what is going on. The hot board is up on the website. You don't have to mention any names if you don't want to, but is there any that you think should be added or should be removed since you've last heard from Friday? Or do you think it's kind of steady throughout what's on the thread?
When there is new information, it'll be updated.
Right.
That's how hot boards work. Keegan had that. How often do you want me to update it? When we have new information. Like you don't update it with no updates. You want to piss people off. Yeah, we have an updated hot board, and it's just the same thing that you had 3 days ago.
Different, but same, but still different.
It's the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other.
Hey, it would get some clicks. Yeah, but anyway,
that's not us. That's not how I do. I mean, I could do that.
It was a jab.
I could do that. That's how they do it at IU. There's plenty of people at IU that do that kind of stuff.
Dude, some of these boards out here, especially when you try and go on some of these Big 12 boards to just read about basketball, it's like the boards that start a new thread for literally like a new topic, whether it be something that could be in the same thread as another thread.
They just start a new thread for every thought that they have.
You're talking chaos. That right there is chaos. It's impossible to read this. But yeah, let's go ahead and timestamp the wrap up of football, and we'll dive into
all
that.
Right. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. I feel like I just did this. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins, etc. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029. Reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
There you go. Gotta give Nick his love on the quick paper supply. Man, 3 games down in the Big 12. All 3 teams were ranked. All 3 teams put up a challenge. I would say Bearcats come out through those 3 games 1-2. A tough game, obviously, this past Saturday at Baylor. One where Chad, you and Aaron had a nice nightcap, just kind of rehashing the game itself. One where, man, you look at some certain stats. You hold the best shooting team in the country at only 5 made threes on 20. What was it? 21 attempts. Yeah,
20.
Yeah, 20 attempts, and you hold them to relatively low scoring, 62 points, their lowest of the year. You play pretty sound defense. You're able to kind of tie them in rebounds. Obviously, you want to have one way, but you did have 12 offensive rebounds yourself. But on the flip side, rough shooting night for the Bearcats, 4 of 21, and actually every player not named Dan Skillings was 0 for 15 from beyond the arc in that game. I guess what you want to pull out is the fact that through that tough shooting, through the somewhat of a ugly rock fighty type game, you were right there in the end with 2 chances to win the basketball game against arguably the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't know that they're arguably the best team in the Big 12, but
right now, I'd say.
I still think their defense is still a little shaky overall. But I get your point. They're one of the upper echelon teams in the league for sure. And that's the frustrating part is Aaron and I talked about this in the first half, but for the game completely.
Yeah.
You played an awesome defensive game against one of the best offenses in the country. They were not just firing up open looks from 3 and missing. Like they like BYU, you could argue like BYU got a lot of good looks that they normally make that they missed.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't give BYU a whole lot of space around the perimeter. You didn't allow them to pop the ball the way that they normally do. Passing it, they only had 13 assists. That's a high assist, high quality passing team. They only had 13 assists. They only had 22 made baskets.
Yeah. And
to get that result and not win sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's frustrating. It's just as frustrating as a lot of the stuff we talked about with Texas, where you were in a position to win that game and it ended in heartbreak. And like I said on Twitter Saturday or Sunday morning, one of the two, like what they have shown these first 3 games is that they belong in terms of roster construction, talent. They belong in this conference. They're good enough to compete in this conference.
Right.
But that's great. And it's important for the early part of this process. But now you got to win. And you have to protect home court in this league. You're 1-2, and you got back-to-back home games with TCU and Oklahoma coming up. You have to win at least 1. If you win 2, I guess I have to kiss Dave on the mouth.
Okay. All right. We'll put that on our OF page.
No, I mean, I already told him. Like I said, I told him if they get 2 wins, I might have to kiss him in the mouth.
Yeah.
If they go 3-3, or heck, we bring home a victory. We're driving home Tuesday morning from the fog, and they're 4-2.
Wow.
Is what it is.
Whoa. Talk about podcasting after dark, man. Come on now. Yeah, no, I agree. The whole thing, I mean, listen to what Rick Pitino says about trying to find silver linings when it comes to losing basketball games. That's kind of my feeling, even though I try and be so positive all the time. It's like, gosh, immediately after the loss, it hurts. But the main thing about this one is the fact that following the Texas loss, it makes the Baylor loss sting even more. If the Bearcats were able to get one defensive stop down the stretch in that Texas game, we're all kind of probably talking a different tune as far
And they
as
got the stops in the Baylor game. I mean,
Yeah.
it felt like the entire last minute they were playing for the lead, and they just couldn't get the ball to drop to get it.
Why us? Why can Texas get all these bounces on those last two shots to fall through? And gosh, like Dan's layup, like you watch that replay, that ball is halfway down. It just
You know what nobody else has talked about
his dunk
that I think would have changed the game is his dunk that he missed.
halfway down. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all strange things. Right. Strange things. Let's touch on Dan real fast. Obviously Stetson Dan showed up down there in Waco.
Baylor Dan. It's now Baylor Dan.
Baylor Dan.
Stetson Dan is out. Baylor Dan is in.
I'm in. I want to talk about. Obviously, I mentioned how much I like to hear what opposing teams coaches have to say. That's a couple days removed because I don't like day of listening to someone be happy, especially when I heard Jacoby Walter in the press conference say that he gets locked down defense by his teammates better than anything that Cincinnati showed him throughout the game. Sure, eye roll, man.
Come on, dude.
Big eye roll. But I digress. One thing that I did like to see is the fact that Scott Drew said that Dan Skillings is an elite offensive rebounder. So Dan is taking that elite offensive rebounding, tying it in with his aggressiveness, scoring the basketball in this game. So I ask you guys this now: is this the start of Dan Skillings taking a even heavier role as trying to be that go-to guy? I feel like that's something that everyone across the fan base is starting to crop up and talk about. Or is this going to be a scenario where it's a ride the hot hand type thing each night, and it could be someone different each night?
I don't think anybody's currently made that huge leap forward yet. I think there's guys trying to, when their number's called, be the guy. But right now, I mean, it's Vic on some nights, but Vic gets himself into some early foul trouble and becomes a guy that's playing hesitant the rest of the night, so much so that he only has one rebound. You can't have one rebound Vic and hope to win games in this conference.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So I don't know.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be one of those things where I think you're too far into the season right now that I don't really see anybody emerging over the course of the next couple of weeks as a guy that you're going to rely on when your back is against the wall. That said, I think that there's still that opportunity over the course of their career at Cincinnati. I just don't know that you're going to see that before the end of the season.
I mostly agree with you, Aaron. Here's where I would disagree. We have not seen them in enough tight situations yet for somebody to emerge in that role or find a way to get comfortable in that role. And we're probably going to see a lot more over the next 15 games where guys are going to get chances for that to happen. I don't know if it will.
I'm not rooting against it to happen. Don't get me wrong.
No. I get what you're saying. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm just pointing out that there's going to be a lot more opportunity for that to happen than there has been through the first 16 games. There's essentially, you're guaranteed 16 more, 15 conference games, and then one game in the conference tournament, and they've played 16. The first 16 did not provide a lot of opportunity for growth in that, we've got the ball with 15 seconds left down one roll. You would hope as more opportunity arrives, somebody becomes comfortable. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid you're probably right. But right now, Brent, I think it's going to be by committee, by the, now we're narrowing it down into what guys are possibly going to be in that role. But, so far it's looked like a pattern of we have like what we've talked about all season. There are a bunch of different quality options. There's not one star option.
Mhm.
So you ride through each game and you figure out, okay, we're 8 minutes in and this guy's got 11.
Right.
We're gonna hop on that wagon tonight and try to ride it to the finish line.
Chad, do you think? Obviously, you're a hoop head. So, do you think it's a little different when in football? The saying is, if you have 3 quarterbacks, then you don't have a quarterback. So, that's the saying when it comes to that. In basketball, if you had, say you could say that at CMOS at some point, Vic in certain games, Dan has showed it in certain games. Is it where you have all these options, so you don't have an option, or do you think it's a more options is the better type?
The problem is you don't have an NBA guy.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's in basketball, that's what that means. In football, it means you don't have a quarterback. In basketball, it means you don't have a guy that's gonna be on an NBA roster in the near future.
Yeah, right.
Not just and look, almost everybody that plays in this league is going to play professional basketball.
Mhm.
But the guys that have the NBA guys that they can throw the ball to, those teams are going to be different. The guys that don't are generally going to look more like Cincinnati, where depending on the night, we've got 2 or 3 or 4 different guys that you're gonna play through. Everybody's got the guy that's going to have the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
But right now, so far, that's been Day because he's the most sure-handed at that in terms of attacking and playing with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll see. They went to Dan on that first baseline out of bounds that he missed the left-handed layup. They go to CMOS on the second one. I don't look too much into the 3 Day took with 6 seconds left. Like, you just have to get the ball on the rim. You're not running the offense. Like, I don't think people get how long it takes to run a design play to get a 3-point shooter open.
And also, once you hit that under 5, that's when teams that foul up 3 will foul, and then all of a sudden you get stuck in that mess. So
like we talked about, he got the ball off the rim. CMOS got it. And got out to the 3-point line to get another second shot at it. So I don't worry too much about that. They don't have, like, somebody hasn't established themselves as the quarterback. Right. Usually that's the guy that is going to go make a bunch of money. They don't have that at this point.
Day, you can see his defense, you can see his handle. He's in a bit of a slump shooting. Yeah, he went 6 of 15 this last game, but he's 1 for his last 15 from 3. He's 3 of his last 23. Has really struggled shooting from the field overall. Chad,
I mean, he was good inside the line against Baylor. He was good at the rim.
Right.
And made a couple mid-range, finished a couple really tough contested layups. A couple of them he got fouled on and didn't get called, but that's life at the rim in big-time conference play. I get your point. I know where how you're trying to frame it. I don't fully agree with it because I think he had an outstanding game Saturday.
Yeah,
he's got to make more threes.
Right, the wide open look.
But he also whether he's making them or not, he has to take those wide open rhythm shots that are coming in the flow of the offense.
Yes,
like the offense calls for you to take those shots. 1, 2, you're one of the elite offensive rebounding teams in the country. So getting the ball up on the rim is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. So I'm not really trying to dog him or anything. It just seems like obviously the one storyline, one of the bigger ones coming in was, the 2 first-time point guards heading into the Big 12, and up to this point, outside of some spurts, it's been a little bit of a slow rise for both of them. But they do bring certain
Day-Day's been
intangibles.
excellent on defense for a month.
Oh yeah. He's that's and even you go back to that Texas, he had great defense on that last shot. It was just one of the best scorers over the past decade in college basketball. Hit a good shot. Hit a really tough shot. So there's no knock on the defense at all, and he's been pure from the line as well. It just seems as if once he gets over that hump and maybe starts to see a couple fall from long range, then maybe that will kind of upstart the other facets of the game and kind of get things rolling. But up to the point, it has been a bit of a struggle at the one.
I like seeing him take a couple of those, pulling up and taking a couple of those mid range, because that's something he is confident and comfortable with. If you're gonna try to build your confidence back up, because he's not missing like hand in his face shots at the rim. He's missing layups where he blows by his defender, and maybe his body's just moving a little too fast right now. Like as he gets the ball up on the backboard, he's trying to rush it and afraid of shot blockers coming, or overthinking it. But yeah, I was impressed that he's like, all right, I'm going to get back to something I'm comfortable with, and hit a couple of those pull-up 15-footers early in that game that I thought gave him some confidence.
Once he gets things rolling, if Dan keeps it up, CMOS, obviously a bit of a struggle shooting in the last game, but that you see the pieces, which is so fun. But speaking of some pieces he didn't see, it's hard to also deny the fact that this team has not had any fluid continuity in the lineup since the beginning of the year. And now the current Aziz situation, I don't know if you, obviously we always say when it comes to injuries, it's above our pay grade, but it just seems like it's another wrench thrown into everything when he was ruled out on Saturday. Obviously the hope is to see him again this week, because I don't know about you guys. I think this is probably the biggest 2-game stretch, biggest week in Bearcat basketball since I can honestly remember. So,
I mean, there were plenty of weeks in the old Big East that felt similar. But in
a long time
over the last decade, I don't remember a 2-game stretch as important as this. Like, you got to get one, and you really, to make the math work, getting 2 would be incredidly beneficial.
And the weird thing is, they're going to be favored in both games most likely. So getting 2 is going to be not expected, but from the outside eye and when it comes to metrics, when it comes to Vegas, they're going to be the favorite team. Now that's going to be because it's at home. Obviously, that ties into the factor. But man, Aaron, Chad, you guys talked about it. There's a bunch of upsets, quote unquote upsets, if you will. Home teams pulling off wins against ranked opponents, and I don't see why Cincinnati can't be one of those teams now that has these big.
They have to be
ranked opponents,
because if not, Brent, you're in the bottom of the conference.
Exactly.
If you can't hold serve at home in this league, you're going to end up in the bottom of the conference. Like, that's just the reality of it. Like there's no sugarcoating that. There's no dancing around it. The teams that don't win at home aren't going to be the teams that win on the road.
Right.
Right. So you have got to show you can hold serve. And guess what? Even if they only win 1 and they go 1-1, they're 1-2 at home.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just Cincinnati, like the Cincinnati faithful, that believes in this team either. I mean, they were the favorites according to Vegas to win against Texas. They are the favorites 2.5 points against TCU, and Baylor was only favored 6.5. So it's not like we're all crazy for believing in this team. It's not. I don't know. We're not out of our minds out here, just delusional or anything.
Right.
Quick look at TCU. Chad, your second favorite player in the Big 12 is a Horned Frog. Man, they're an experienced team, a team that has hit the portal not only this past year but years past, and they've built a nice looking squad through just transfers coming in, continuity, filling some holes through the transfer portal this past offseason. Emmanuel Miller, obviously one of the top 3 to 5 best players in the Big 12 as of right now. And then they've got some guys, some transfers that, in Jameer Nelson Jr. And then, of course, Avery Anderson that have now started to find their footing with TCU. And
Jameer Nelson was really good against Houston. Really good against Houston.
What's that?
I said Jameer Nelson was really good against Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on TCU, man. You've been tweeting about them. They look pretty doggone good.
I mean, they're efficient offensively. They know who they are. They score a ton in transition, and they score at the rim. It is going to be a huge test for Cincinnati getting back. Live ball turnovers might be the difference in this game. If Cincinnati gives it to TCU and lets them play downhill, Toussaint, Nelson, like not Toussaint. He plays for Texas Tech, doesn't he? Where did I get that from? My games are jumbling together from what I watched over the weekend. But they've got a lot of length, a lot of athleticism. They can get to the rim. They try to turn you over live ball. They get a lot of steals. They're not their overall turnover numbers aren't like eye-popping, but they get effective turnovers, live ball turnovers, steals, layups the other way. And Cincinnati has not been sharp with the ball. You could tell that was a heavy focus this week in practice, the way they took care of the ball against Baylor. And it's going to have to be again going into TCU, because if you give them 4 or 5 live ball turnovers, they are going to turn into dunks, and you're going to be in another close game that you gave the team the opponent an unnecessary advantage. They're an okay defensive rebounding team, not a great defensive rebounding team. So I do think there are some boards to be had on the offensive end for Cincinnati. They don't have great size, but they have great length.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to win the positioning battle. You're going to have to get in area rebounds without letting them sneak in and snatch it from you. So that's going to be important. And I mean, I know they beat it to death during the Houston broadcast, but it's just impressive. They have 5,000 point scorers on their roster.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has another scoring drought for 6 minutes. You got to find a way to score.
They switched to that zone, and I tell you what, man, we got befuddled. That's for sure.
TCU will take off on you if you have a 6-minute scoring drought.
Well, the thought was BYU or Baylor would, but they didn't.
You can't rely on that either.
38-31 when they went on that spell. It's crazy. But an interesting thing about TCU as well is so there's 365 teams in Division I.
Something, I forget what the number is anymore.
Like so TCU, they are 335th in percentage. It's 362 teams. They are 335th in percentage of their points scored beyond the arc. They don't shoot the three.
No,
they've got 2 guys that can shoot it. Yeah, go ahead.
Which is almost a problem, Brent, because one of the things that Cincinnati is great at
defending the three
is defending the 3-point line. So they beat BYU and they were in it with Baylor because they made two great elite 3-point shooting teams struggle. TCU might might not take any. They might just be like, nah, fam, we're not letting you have that.
That's a weird thing. I mean, they have been efficient when they've shot it. I mean, they were 8 for 15 against Houston. A big reason why they won that game, because they were decisive when they shot it, and when they did, it went
made
in.
the shots. Yeah,
right. And so and two of them, but there are only two players that are truly a threat from beyond the arc. Is obviously we've mentioned one of them to ad nauseum, Emmanuel Miller, big time shooter, doesn't shoot a bunch, but he's knocked down 40%. But the name you got to circle, just got to make sure you don't lose him at all, is Trevian Tennyson, which is a transfer that he came from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and he's knocking him down at a 47% clip. And
what, 4 for 6 against Houston? I think.
Yeah, he's a guy that potentially lose him a couple times, similar to the Dayton game with their one big time 3-point threat, knocking down 4 or 5 that he shot in that game. Just got to make sure you account for him on the court at times. And outside of that, it's going to be a dogfight.
He can't beat Tevin now.
What's that?
I said he can't beat Tevin, whatever now.
Yeah, Trevin.
You can't let him get 9 in the first 28 minutes of the game.
Career high.
Unless Jamie Dixon sits him for a while, and then you can say, all right, let's go on a run. But I don't know. Keys to this one, not really keys to the game, but kind of just what you think needs to happen in order for a win to come out is
score more points.
Oh, thank you. I like that. That is a novel concept.
It's my expert analysis. Get one more point through 40 minutes. Exactly 40 minutes. Get one more point and get the hell out.
Yes. If there's additional minutes after the 40 minutes, just score more points with those additional minutes.
Yeah, but you don't want that. You want to score more. You want to score more in exactly 40 minutes.
That gives me heartburn. You don't want to give me heartburn. But on top of it is also the fact. What you think? Newman on Miller for most of the game?
I would think so.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Also seems like a team that you would potentially go with that 4-guard lineup with the big that you saw, and then mix in the 2 big lineup throughout the game when needed. I don't know. It's going to be exciting to see what happens out there. But hey, a ruckus crowd, got to win both. I think got to win both this week. It's extremely massive to definitely win one, but I want to win both. I'm sorry to be a little greedy, but they've looked great. They've done everything but win. And yes, they beat BYU, but you got to start to stack wins, especially as the road games start to come up.
Yeah. I mean, that's, look, the math starts mathing. If you're 1-5, you got to get to 8 or 9 wins.
Right.
To have a chance. 8 wins to be on the bubble and feel uncomfortable. I think if you get to 9 wins in this league, you're going to find yourself in the tournament. But if you're 1-5, now you got to go 8-4 the rest of the way. And this league, you can't be confident that there's an 8-4 stretch coming.
Right.
You can't be confident that you're going to win 4 out of 5 at some point in time to really get your momentum going. You cannot get through this 6-game stretch 1-5. No matter the feel-good stuff, the stuff where, okay, they're showing that they belong in this conference, they're playing tight games, they're taking teams down to the wire. Okay, that's great. But that's out the window right now because of the 2 home games that you have to get at least 1 and preferably 2.
Right.
What you hope, here's what you hope, Brent. TCU's feeling real good about themselves.
Which they should.
They beat number 10 Oklahoma, or number 9 Oklahoma at the time. They beat number 2 Houston at the time.
Yep.
So they should be feeling really good about themselves.
You got to hope they don't have a chip on their shoulder by only being ranked 19 after those wins.
I don't understand that at all. I
They
gotta
lost by
hope that
13 to Nevada. Come on.
Yeah, but you just beat 2 top 10 teams.
I know.
You should at least be 15
Yeah.
at that
Well, I
point.
thought they were going to be, but I mean, the AP is weird. The AP poll, 0 votes receiving for Cincinnati. What
You
what thing
lost.
about-
What?
You lost 2. You
What?
don't. You don't.
No,
You lost.
I know. I'm just trying to explain. Like the AP poll, like people are like, why are they receiving votes? Who is receiving votes? Like all it is like all these AP voters put their poll out, and if you aren't on any of the AP voters' polls, then you don't receive any votes. It's not like the AP gets together and they're like,
Cincinnati
let's-
should not have
let's
received
pick
any
all
votes,
these teams
Brent.
and let's pick some with receiving votes. I'm
Right.
not saying they should have. I'm you guys are thinking I'm getting angry about that. I'm not. I'm just trying to explain how this beautiful AP poll works. It's a weird thing. It's something just put together, thrown together, and probably half of the people take it serious. Probably not even half. So I think TCU is better than 19th in the country. I agree with you at that point.
I think
But
they're really good.
yeah.
And I've always been a big Jamie Dixon fan. I've enjoyed watching his teams play for a long time, even when Aaron Gray broke his ankles and Kemba got him for 3.
Not Aaron Gray.
Who looks more like a vampire, though? Jamie Dixon or Rick Pitino?
Patino. Only because Patino is actually 247 years old.
Chad.
You know what they should have done, Aaron? They should have made like a character in Red Dead Redemption that was just Rick Pitino. Like, oh my God, there's Rick Pitino in 1892.
The problem is he'd be in a saloon.
Right.
At
That's
the
fine.
table,
Right.
next-
That's fine.
Next to a lady in a dress.
That's how they should have done it. They should have put Rick Pitino in a booth in a bar in one of those little San Denis. That's where Rick Pitino would have been. San Denis.
Chad, Gary McGee.
No, Aaron Gray was the one that he
That got
buckled.
crossed.
Wasn't
It was Gary McGee.
Oh wow, I thought it was Aaron Gray for some reason.
I mean, the only reason I constantly remember that is because he's always at like pickup basketball games in Indy, like the Hoop Summit things, and people just dog him for it. So
I mean, he got embarrassed.
he did. Absolutely. Well, should we timestamp?
Already did.
Yeah, we can definitely timestamp. That timestamp is brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick at 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
All right.
Boom, baby.
Let's open up this mailbag and get everyone out of here. Starting in the football portion of the mailbag. When is the DC search expected to finalize, and is there an update on candidates? As we kind of discussed, updates are going to be on the hot board on bearcatjournal.com. But as for expected to finalize,
when they find the right guy. You're not in a rush right here. Like, that's what people have to understand. Like, do you want to get it done as soon as possible? Sure. You know what's more important? Finding the right guy.
you also don't want to end up in a situation where you hire somebody and then he's gone in like a week and a half because the NFL plucked him.
Right. So just, you're in a window that is not high stress in terms of timeline. Do your interviews, bring guys to campus, get them around the program, figure out, the right fit and make the right hire. You don't have to, rush this and have somebody in place by Friday. If you do, that's also fine. But you can do that knowing that you feel like you've got the right guy. You don't have to say we're we're going to have somebody in 72 hours if the process takes longer than that. Trust the process is what I'm saying.
All right. Are there certain recruits, portal or high school, that were recruited or tied to Brian Brown that could leave now?
All of them. You're in the transfer portal era, baby. All of them could. Are there any that I think will? No, not at the moment. But let's see who the new coach is. Let's see how everybody fits into the new coach's system and what the belief is. If guys don't feel like they do, then there's a good chance they could hit the portal. We don't know the answer to that yet until we have a new defensive coordinator. But I'll tell you this. Guys don't like when the head coach leave, everybody leaves. Assistant coaches and coordinators change in college football constantly. And it's just not something that usually triggers a lot of movement. Could there be a guy that's like, yeah, Brian Brown's my guy. Like I'm leaving because he's not here. Sure. There are always a million scenarios, which means a couple of them are going to happen. But it's just not like, it's not something that, how many guys have you seen left LSU because Mike Denbrock went to Notre Dame? I don't know of any. Like, that's just not how this all works.
I don't pay attention to LSU like that, but
I pay attention to Denbrock like that. That's my guy.
All right. The staff seems very intentional in how they select players to offer from the portal and high school. How important is it for the next DC hire to be someone that runs a similar defense to Coach Brown and that fits the personnel that is in place for 2024?
We're about to find out, aren't we? I mean, I don't think you want to just like, okay, we're going to hire a guy that runs like a power 4-3 defense because you don't have that roster. Like that's now you're not going to have that roster for this year. And then you have to go into the transfer portal next year and try to readjust and change everything. I think you want them to at least have a similar like belief system, even if their systems aren't the same. You want them to at least be like cousins.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that Satterfield is going to put his neck on the line for a guy who's got to completely nuke this current system and personnel to get to his. That wouldn't make any sense.
And remember, this is what, the 5th year that Brown has been Satterfield's like DC of choice.
Yeah.
4 years in Louisville and 1 year here. Like he has a belief in what Brian Brown was doing. So it wouldn't make sense for him to just be like, okay, I hired the guy, believed in his system, and now we're going to take a left turn at Albuquerque and go try to do something else. Like, that's not how this usually lines up.
I mean, I think he was even with Sat back at Appalachian State too.
He was, but I'm talking about his defensive core. I don't think he was DC there.
Yeah.
As DC, he's been Sat's DC for I think 5 years.
Well, and the thing that's important about this is the fact that Stat is obviously an offensive coach, and
right.
so you know losing a Manning last offseason, able to hire Brad Glenn was something that was kind of able to kind of work out and figure out, because Sat is there leading the offense. DC, it's going to be important. It's an important hire, because obviously that's going to be the one that really spearheads what the defense is going to look like.
And then, unfortunately, sorry, Merk, we were not able to get to your question for Nico. Worth mentioning, though, I mean, I think we were all kind of surprised how healthy the team was able to remain throughout the season, as they really didn't have a ton of injuries. But that is the end of the football portion of the mailbag. Moving to the basketball portion of the mailbag. In the two Big 12 losses, which of these three factors contributed the most? A, the inability to hit numerous shots at the rim. B, B, free throw shooting. C, no obvious alpha to close out the game.
Sorry, get the right up ready. The Big 12 losses. Which of these three factors?
Right.
Aaron, what do you think?
Of those three factors that contributed the most in the losses, I don't think I'm free throw shooting maybe in the second game, but probably not in the third game so much. I think it's got to come down to, I think A and C are almost the same thing. If you had an alpha closing out the game, then you are making those numerous shots at the rim.
Well, I think it's more like throughout the game they missed, like especially Texas, they missed a ton of layups.
Yeah.
Like
Day was tough at the rim.
Everybody. Like again, you guys drive me like Day was. They missed like 13 shots at the
I don't
rim.
think C is necessarily because I mean like CMOS closed the game out well against Texas. I mean I think what I mentioned there's 362 teams in Division One. I think 361 teams in Division One win that basketball game after CMOS makes that shot. That I think that happens. There's some curse on the Bearcats. They're going to break through it this year. I swear to God. But I think 361 out of the 362 teams in college basketball in Division One win that basketball game following that fadeaway jumper that CMOS made against Texas. But yeah,
not if they missed a 1-and-1 right after it.
Hey man, I'm standing by that. 361 out of 362. But man,
You're so ridiculous.
That whole luck factor. But yeah, I think like Killer V, man, you're obviously touching on A, yes, that happened in the Texas game.
It's
B,
all of them. That's the answer. Like it's all is part of it. Like
yeah,
they all work in unison. It's not if they just did this. If they did any of those three things, they probably win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Dan was an alpha to bring him back within shouting distance, but then
got to make the layup.
Yeah, exactly.
Free throws against Baylor, though. Free throws against Baylor, they were 7 of 12. It wasn't a terrible night. I mean, you missed 5.
Barely over 500, 50%.
I'm a side with Chad
probably
on
that you only took 12.
That's the
you make 3 of those. Hey, you make 3 of those. We're talking free basketball, baby. Come on now.
Unreal. Vic had 7 points and 1 rebound versus Baylor. Does Vic need to be near double-double status in every game for us to win consistently or at all in the Big 12?
If Aziz doesn't play, I think yes. He needs to give you a little bit more. But he showed against Baylor. He only was 7-1, and they had a chance to win. So maybe it doesn't matter.
Right. You need him to be better, especially on the glass, than he was Saturday.
Yeah.
Again,
Cincinnati should have dominated down in the trend, like down low.
Yeah.
I mean, Aziz is a really, really good rebounder, and
he is. But Aziz didn't play.
No, I know.
So Vic has to get more than 1 rebound.
Oh, for sure. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm just saying that yes, like we should have dominated, but you hear that your starting 5-man or arguably your best rebounder stat wise and opportunity wise is not available. It shouldn't completely.
I mean, somebody's got to step up.
At the end of the day,
not Brett, go get one.
You had Jamil, Odie. Yeah, you had Jamil, Odie, and Vic combined for 7 rebounds. 7.
If you know Aziz, like if he got 1 rebound while Aziz was playing, and Aziz had like 9 defensive rebounds, you can kind of be like, all right. Like Aziz was gobbling them, Vic was boxing out, and Aziz was securing the rebound. But no, you didn't have Aziz. Jamil didn't exactly rebound it at an elite level. Vic cannot have one. He let a dirty play. It was a dirty play.
It was dirty.
By Caleb Lohner. It was a dirty play.
Oh, yeah.
If you watch it, it was dirty.
Dirty.
He cracked back, blocked Vic as he was looking at the rim for a rebound. It was dirty.
Right. Dirty.
But you
Blindside.
can't let that. You can't let that take
Yeah.
you completely out of your game. And he
Agreed.
does that. And like Aaron and I talked about on Saturday night, like I guarantee it's one of the first 5 things that a coach says in a game plan is get under this guy's skin.
Right.
Yeah, we talked
Because
about the
he
fact
will
that
take himself out of the game.
Lohner was only in for 4 minutes, and one of the things he was tasked to do in those 4 minutes were to set Vic off.
Yeah.
Mission
And it worked.
accomplished.
Gosh, I randomly just remember that name, Caleb Lohner, Chad. because he
Yeah.
was
Wasatch
on, the,
Academy.
on that team with Mikey. So it's like
Yep.
I would always know what his stats were throughout the entire game. But
Yep.
yeah, that was definitely a dirty play. But you can't retaliate. You got to just be like, whoa, like take a step back and be like, whoa. But I don't know. In the same sense, you do like to see that like not back down, but you got to realize that you don't do it like that right in front of the officials where they know you do that by scoring a bucket on his head on the other end of the court. So,
You know what Caleb Lohner did in those 4 minutes, though? Out-rebounded Vic for the game.
right. You know,
And
another
threw a
thing,
vicious crackback block while Vic was looking the other way.
though, I think Aziz is not only is he good at lobs, obviously, but I think he's good at defending lobs. Kind of his timing and recognizing that they're going to throw a lob. He gets a lot of tips on them and stuff. Baylor was throwing lobs like it was candy. So I
Yeah,
think
but that was almost all on CMOS. They were picking on CMOS.
2 were on Odie when Odie was in. It was a scenario where I was just like, okay, well, Aziz was in for these spot minutes too. It'd be
Maybe, yeah.
a couple deflections here and there.
All right.
Maybe.
Do you guys think the players feel more pressure to win at home?
No, I think they feel pressure to win every game. Like now, if you start to get in the realm where the football team was at, where they couldn't win a game at a place that, is supposed to be impenetrable, maybe it gets in your head a little bit eventually. But ultimately, like right now, no, I don't think it's much of a deal.
I would imagine they don't want to get booed at home, but you take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but they actually, that's maybe like right up there with the best they played this season. They got booed going into the half, and then they came out of the half and beat the piss out of somebody. Maybe this team likes
could
to
have
be
been
booed.
the spark they needed.
Yeah, maybe this team likes to
Look
be
at what's
booed.
happened since that second half.
The last time I said that, Chad lost his mind. They don't care about that. No, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying not to get yelled at here. Moving on. Baylor game. Plays of the game. Number 1, Day-Day's left to right crossover and jet speed to layup and free throw, done to bench with 3 fouls. Number 2, Day-Day ball fake pass, pulling defender away and pass to Skillings in corner for a 3, 4+ minutes left. Number 3, Vic's outlet pass to Skillings for fast break layup, 2+ minute mark. Number 4, any of your own choices. I'm going to take
Any
number
part
4
of
and say
Dan's.
Skillings dunk.
I'll go with the 7-0. Like you're down 9 with 3 minutes left. You're about to get handled. And I know it's not a play, but Dan's ability to go on a 7-0 run there was undeniable.
Yeah, I think
pick any one of those plays, and that's my favorite play. How's that?
Piggybacking off you there, Chad, that when Dan knocked down that 3 to kind of stymie things to begin it, because you feel like like you said in the nightcap, that could have easily been the recipe for a 14-point Baylor win.
Right.
No one bats an eye. It's just like Baylor's better than Cincinnati. Cincinnati, maybe they're a year away. But
they beat BYU. They hung close with Texas, but they weren't ready for Baylor at Baylor.
Right. So Dan was the sole heartbeat for keeping them in it. and having a chance to win at the end. So, shouts to Dan, man. Shouts to Dan.
All right.
Baylor Dan.
Baylor Dan. Baylor Dan.
Is the lack of a go-to guy one of the reasons for failing to finish at the end of the game because we lack that dog? I think Skillings could be that guy, but maybe not until next year. We've talked ad nauseum about that at this point throughout the show. Has this team gotten better because of CJ not being on the floor over the last few weeks? Whose minutes do you see taking a hit if/when he comes back? Or is CJ the one who gets hurt by Josh's ascension over the last few weeks?
CJ is not a reason this team has gotten better because he's off the floor. No. He changes everything when he's on the floor offensively. Spacing, the flow of
Especially
the
if
offense.
he's hitting.
Yeah. Well, even if he's not, like, he can. And they know he's done it everywhere at a very high level. So you have to guard him. You have to be aware of him. And he can pass. He's a smart player. Could you maybe argue that one of the reasons, I'll give you this, defensively, maybe they have taken it to a different level because there's a little bit more consistently some more athleticism on the floor. But I don't think CJ's a bad defender. So I don't fully buy into that. Where do his minutes come from? I mean, I guess you would it's going to have to be a cacophony of Josh Reed, Dan, John Newman, CMOS. 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, and then all of a sudden you've got everybody all back around in that same range. I don't think there's any one guy that's specifically like, you know, with Odie, it was clear. Like, okay, like these guys are all eligible when you had Vic, Aziz, Jamil. Like Odie's going to have to step back a little. I don't think it's that obvious. Also, mainly because one of the reasons Josh has been on the floor is he's been defending really, really well on bigger guys. And that's not a role that they're going to ask CJ to do.
All right. Any basketball unofficial visits to speak of lately?
No. They've been on the road mostly, so no.
Is it time for VAR to deal with officiating, say, maybe in the last 3 minutes?
Basically already does on the stuff that like VAR deals with, like the stuff that's not objective.
Under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I
think they're pretty good at that too, where they don't, wait, they immediately go. Where in the past they talk about it, then spend 20 minutes and then come back and say something.
It's gotten better for sure.
That is the basketball portion of the mailbag, and the looks like we got a late entry here. I'll throw it up real quick.
Late is unacceptable.
Thoughts on Dez's future with the Falcons? Think they will give him another year as a starter?
No.
Apparently, there's Bill Belichick rumors to Atlanta happening right now on the Twitter.
Now, well, the Falcons announced that they interviewed Bill Belichick. So, maybe I'm crazy. Desmond Ridder seems like a guy that Bill Belichick would absolutely
down king, man.
love.
Well, nice. I don't think that Bill Belichick's going to be drafting a quarterback that he's got to mold. He wants to win right now, right?
Yeah, so
that's why Kirk Cousins is coming into Atlanta.
Although, look, man, again, yeah, no, I think Tom is okay. Like how things ended. Like Tom got the last word. I left and won a Super Bowl. Bill hasn't done shit without me. Like I think Tom takes the W there. Ultimately, Otter, I still think the same thing that I've always thought. that early in his career, Dez is going to have some chances to start. But when and if that doesn't like hold, he's going to make a shit ton of money being a backup in the NFL for a decade plus. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's everything you could want in a number 2 to a really good quarterback, and those guys usually get paid pretty well.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Chad. He's gonna make a bunch of money, and you know what? If he finds the correct fit that really makes things work, we've seen that he's a winner. But
Yeah,
man, this past season did not go too hot for the old Atlanta Falcons.
Dez had some good moments. Like
did.
there were some times where it was like, okay, he's figuring this out,
Yeah, so
and then he would fumble at the
man.
2-yard line
Yeah.
or throw a pick in the end zone, or just like it's like he couldn't get out of his own way. Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure
Not
bringing in
much feel.
Taylor Heineke really assisted with his development there too.
yeah,
Great idea.
Tyrod Taylor type career. I think if you're Dez, you would be thrilled to have Tyrod Taylor's career.
Sans the needle in the lung.
Yeah, outside of that part.
All right. Last question. Rapid fire. Best sleeping bags for when you lose power and it's 0 degrees out. Pretty sure that's a jab at me.
It is.
But I don't. What do you mean best sleeping bags?
Are you guys like sleeping bag people? Are you like comforter people? Or are you like
We don't have a sleeping bag in this house.
I sleep warm. Like I only sleep with sheets.
well, I mean like just like on like the couch or like a basement type setting.
Like a throw, like a like a stadium blanket, I guess they're called.
Okay.
I just need a blanket that's big enough. Like I feel like most blankets are too short for me to like burrito up in.
Yeah, see, I need I can't. If I sleep for like 5 minutes with blanket covers on my legs, like I kick. That doesn't stay like that for long. Like I said, I sleep hot.
Yeah, I hear you.
By the way, Tyrod Taylor net worth $10 million.
Not bad.
I'm sure
I think if Dez got to the end of the road and had $10 million in the bank, he's doing all right.
Not bad.
Seinfeld or Friends?
Seinfeld. I like Friends more than most people do. I think it was funny, but Seinfeld was outstanding.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in this world that is a sleeping bag on the couch person? If so, we need to check that person's brain.
I mean,
That's why
Brent's
I
the
asked
one that was
Turkey
talking
Water,
about it.
because I'm not. I just didn't know if like
Why would you ask?
because
Do you know anyone that sleeps with a sleeping bag on their couch?
I was trying to evolve the question. I mean, I don't know.
He
I've
does.
never
He totally, Aaron. He sleeps with a sleeping bag on the couch. 1,000%.
I mean, I don't know
in
if
Florida.
I'm being honest with you, but
Yeah, in Florida.
in Florida,
And that's just so the Gators don't get him out by the pool.
That's how you keep the geckos and the fire ants away. Is a sleeping bag.
good old fire ants. But yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I wasn't a religious watcher of Friends or Seinfeld.
Me
I
either.
liked certain aspects of both of them. I think they're both funny, but I cannot pick one of the two.
I don't.
that's the question. You have to pick one or the two.
If I have to pick one, I'll pick Friends, but I could be just as well never watching another episode of either one ever. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
All day.
Wars.
Was never a big Trekkie.
Nope.
Big Jar Jar
And-
Binks and Darth Maul guy.
No.
Uh,
Luke, Leia, Han Solo,
Right.
Chewbacca, Yoda, OGs. The
All
OGs.
All the
Brent.
above.
The OGs.
Yeah, I'm a big Bubba Fett guy.
Boba Fett.
There we go. Boba.
Bubba Fat.
Did
He
you
called
say
him
Bubba
Bubba
Fett?
Fat. He called him
He made him
Bubba
Bubba.
Fat.
Why did he make him Bubba Sparks? I ain't choose to rhyme. Rhyming chose me.
We're gonna look. I'm hitting up Mike tomorrow at 513 Shirts, and we're doing a picture with Brent's face, and it's just going to say Bubba Fat. Maybe we'll put the Mandalorian like gear on you, but it'll be your silhouette, and like we'll come up with your own Mandalorian gear, and we'll call it Bubba Fat.
The BBP
Bubba
is
Fat
redoing
is your neighbor in Florida.
The classic The Godfather, and the sons are going to be recast by the BBP team, who plays Sonny, Michael, Tom Hagen, and Fredo. I think it's Fredo.
I'm not a movie
Put
guy.
Fredo.
I've seen it. This is for you guys.
I've watched the trilogy, but it's probably been. I bought the trilogy even, and one of my friends borrowed it a long time ago, and I've never seen said trilogy. I think he probably lost it in his divorce at some point as well. So don't know that I'm going to be getting that
She
back.
took the Godfather trilogy?
Look, I don't. I don't know, man. It wasn't. I'm not talking about my divorce. I'm talking about his divorce.
No, I know. If she took the, like, what do you want? And you got the lawyers there, and she's like, I want the Godfather trilogy. That's just trying to disrespect you. Just saying.
It's fine.
I don't know. Like I you guys.
Who you got, Aaron?
Here.
I don't. It's been a long time since I've seen those movies. Is the point that I was trying to make.
I mean, I don't think that the BBP can be all the brothers. I think Chad would be, Vito, the Don,
Right.
Start everything. I think I don't know. It's hard because if you guys haven't seen it or like know that much about it, then
would Keegan be Sonny, the youngest?
No, Sonny's the oldest.
Which one's Pacino?
Sonny's the oldest. Then, the ones that Tom Hagen's the guy that's the lawyer, like gets him out of a lot of trouble. I think that would probably be
Sonny's the dominant one. Frito's the inspiring one. Michael's the supportive one. Tom is the cautious one.
Brent's Tom.
The description for Sonny is assertive, action oriented, and does things quickly. I think that would be me.
You're done. You're done.
Well, but he's asking about which of the sons
about the
we
brothers.
are. They're the brothers we are. Fredo is fun-loving, lighthearted, emotional, and seeks approval. I think that's pretty easy. Aaron?
Yep.
And then Michael is patient, non-confrontational, and likes routine. That's Keegan. And then Brent
Keegan's
is
not part
Tom.
of the BBP though.
Well, then
Lawyer.
Yeah, Royer does I'd say that's Royer. Likes routine, non-confrontational. I don't know that he's patient.
Yeah.
I don't know that Michael would stick his head in a fan.
These character descriptions, I'm pretty sure Chad is just reading horoscopes. Well played, Thrifty Walrus. I feel like it took Thrifty Walrus the whole show to get on a roll, but now he's on a roll, and then the show's over.
This is what happened.
Character description for Tom Hagen. I want to hear this.
I already read it.
What was?
I just closed the window.
Oh, okay.
All right, get us out of here, Brent.
Well, hey, you know
Bubba
what?
Fat, get us out of here.
We figured it out. We got it done. But hey, you know what? Shouts to our good guy, Nico Palizzetti. That was a lot of fun having him on. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Night here on the BBP yet again. Shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Look at that, Danco Joe.
Why
Big
can't I
shout
change
for-
his name to Bubba Fat? Ridiculous.
I thought we could do it. Big shouts to Quick Paper Supply, and of course, big shouts as always to my boys, my guys. I think this is the biggest weekend. Week of Bearcats basketball that it's massive. Win these two games, you're in the driver's seat to return to the NCAA tournament. Lose both, you're behind the eight ball. Got to figure things out. Win one of two, you're still fighting your way through. But they've shown things. Just got to pull out wins. Two big chances. Start tomorrow night. TCU, 7 p.m. Fifth Third Arena. Come early. Be loud. Be loud. Come on. But my broadcast guys, my partners, my pals,
Your
my
voice sounds
family.
worse than mine. What's happening?
my family.
You're
Oh.
fading.
Someone changed it.
Who did that? Did you do that, Aaron? There you
I
go.
think Aaron did
There
it.
you go. I like the 2 T's too. That's very Star Wars of you.
Hold on one
You go with
second.
the second T.
I'm gonna go get some cheese. I'll come back and eat that too. But anyway, for my guys, my pals, my brothers, Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel, I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BVP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.